Hey everybody, come on in and join me as I make a kind of a natural Christmas wreath. I'm going to pull up my page here. I know it's like late afternoon or not late morning, so hopefully if you're just joining me, say hello, let me know where you're from, what's going on, what's your plans for the weekend. And I'm just going to pull this up so I can say hello to anybody. What's plans for the weekend? Say hello. So I have, hey Adrienne, how are you? I'm not going to have you look at me too long, but I'm going to make kind of a natural wreath. That's something that's kind of really trending this year. It's not for everybody, but I've always liked natural wreaths. They remind me, I'm maybe more nostalgic, and it reminds me of kind of the old-fashioned Christmas trees Christmases versus all the commercialized glitz and glam. So I enjoy them. My customers like them, and I thought I'd show you one using pine needles and how I go about with some of my Christmas wreaths. I always add greenery, but with this one, I'm going to put it down, and if you have any questions, feel free to, ask away. I'm going to be working with pine cones. I got to straighten this up. Pine cones, berries, some grapevine, long pine needles, and deer ears. So I'm hoping you can see okay. Looks like it. Okay, cool. So I'm starting off with a long pine base, and what I've noticed in this, it's a little sparse. And so I'm trying to maneuver how I can do this without the frame showing up too much. I mean, if you can see, there's spacing. So I've been fluffing, and what I'm going to do is I've got some picks with the long pine needles, and I'm going to cut these apart because I'm going to glue and just add a few in to just kind of fill it out. And I do this with my regular evergreen wreaths too. I always add more greenery to them, and you can add lots of different greenery. You can add eucalyptus, cedar, more pine like this. These are great for fillers to add like to the outside to kind of just give some fullness. You notice sometimes the evergreen wreaths will, once you get your stuff in them, they will, you don't see much of the green, the wreath around the outside, and I kind of like that look. So what I've kind of done is I'm kind of alternating them, placing them kind of zigzag, so they do cover the metal base, and you hate to have that showing. So that's why I'm going to try to add more. I'm hoping you guys can see okay. So I'm just going back and forth, kind of a zigzag, and I'm going to use some of these. I'm going to just put them in the glue, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of lift an area, hopefully you can see, where a branch already is, and I'm going to just place the glued item into it, right? So and then it can kind of cover up. So, but it's attaching, and these green evergreen stuff, adhere really well. You just kind of give it a little shake, into the greenery, and they do. They'll hold really well. And once you kind of get stuff in here, it's not going to be a big deal. But I'm just going to add, see, now this is a real long one. I probably could cut that in half. So anybody else starting to make Christmas? Oh my gosh, it's like I'm already packing up my fall and Halloween items, which feels like so soon, but just the nature of the business. So I'm going to just stick these in to give it some fullness. I'm using hot glue from a glue pan. I love the rustic Christmas decor. I think my favorite is, I've always loved the snow. If I look anything for snow, it's like probably I'm good from day after Thanksgiving till probably New Year's, and then the snow can be gone. But I love a white Christmas, and who doesn't, right? One of the first years that I was back here having people host Christmas. One person's been doing it for a while, so my sister and I, my mom's house is too small, right? And to have a large group of people. So my brother offered his house, but he doesn't decorate. And so, but his house is it's a rustic, it's beautiful. Rustic, wilderness area, trees. It's kind of a cabin feel, all kinds of natural wood, so it was perfect. And my sister and I, we were like, awesome. We, had an artificial tree, but we went to Hobby Lobby and bought, oh gosh, snow-covered picks, pine cones. What all did we have? All kinds of things, just greenery stuff, birds' nests, anything we could just kind of shove into the tree branches, other, lights and stuff, and ribbon. So I bought, I don't think I had buffalo plaid. That wasn't quite as popular at the time. But I think just using a green and red check is what we used. But it was so pretty. We had that as a table runner. Hi, April. Thanks for joining me. So if you guys are just coming on and joining, say hello. I'm working on a pine wreath right now. It's just something natural, but what I'm doing is I'm adding some extra pieces to kind of fill it out, because when I bought this, when you order them online, sometimes you can't always tell how full they're going to be, and if you get the real full ones, you buy those, they're pretty expensive, so they, it ups the price of what you're already buying. I'm going to add a couple more pieces. So I've got, like I said, berries, pine cones, the deer's ear, or deer's horns, right? Fake ones. Fake. For any of those people that like that particular rustic. I should have had a bird's nest, but I bought a bunch of cardinals to use this year, bird's nests, lots of natural greenery. Make sure these kind of are getting stuck in with the needles, to the glue to adhere, so they do stick in well. Adding more greenery into a regular pine evergreen base works really well. This one's just a little more sparse, so I'm trying to make sure I'm getting it attached to the pine needles so it sticks really well. And I was looking at how I was going to adhere the deer antlers. That's what it is, antlers. I'm going to probably use a zip tie. So hi Lily, thanks for joining me. I'm going to use zip ties. So if you remember, or if you just as a reminder, keep things going in the same direction when you're doing a full circular wreath, full-on wreath. You want, and you can always come back and add greenery to fill in, but you want to make sure it's all kind of going in the same direction. I think I want to place my antlers first, and I've got 3, so I'm going to space them out. I'm not going to be putting a bow in this one. You could. I did pick out kind of a natural and red bow, because I thought, if you really did a simple 3-loop bow, you could put it there, but I'm not going to on this particular one. I do have another one I might do, and maybe I'll add a bow. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. Hi, Dina. So, I was debating whether I was going to have the antlers up or down, but I guess I'm going to do it down. I think I'm going to add a little bit of glue, because I do want, see how long, and this is probably, it's a heavy wire, but before I cut it, I'm going to get it in place, and I'm going to actually use a zip tie to attach it to the frame, but I am going to add a little bit of glue, just so it is sticking into, so I'm going to make sure it's going through some of the pine first, right? So I'm just going to add glue. I'm not going to dip it to the bottom, so I'm kind of putting glue towards the top of the pick. So you can kind of see, just so it doesn't glob on stuff, towards the top. Oops. And then I'm going to just kind of thread it into, so that glue part is sticking to the needles, right? And I'm gonna hold it. So I'm looking to see where might be the best, because there's wires, you know, I mean wires. There is metal going from, you know, the top. It's a double tiered wreath. So if I'm close, which I probably should have planned that out a little better, that I will try to do that with these others. And then I'm going to just take a zip tie and I'm going to attach it at least just one place for right now. If I have to secure it again, you know, with reinforce it, I will. But for now, I'm just going to do one. Hi, Sandra. I'm fine. How are you today? We got some rain going on in here. The weather has cooled off. We're going to be enjoying some lovely fall weather. I may have to do a second zip tie on here. That's okay. I'll wait till the end to see. So we got one. Can you see that? So I'm going to space it out evenly. Try to anyways. Make sure the horns or the antlers are all going in the same direction. So you can just kind of, you know, place it first where you think, kind of get an idea. Oops. Where you want them, kind of evenly spaced. This is that looks probably pretty good. All right. So let's get this one, get some glue in here. These are a little harder to, I almost said install, but yeah, to actually attach. A little more different than I was, you know, it's not like typical, okay, this one is sticking good. I've got it where it's gonna, I'm gonna zip tie it right to a center piece if I can. So let's see. A little more tricky, but I'm making sure the zip ties go to the back. Get this in here correctly. Getting through pine needles without getting my fingers burnt. So I'm attaching the deer antlers like so. I might end up having to, let's see if I can just kind of, not up in the top part as I wanted it to be here. Let's see. Okay. This, again, these might have to be zip tied, I think, a second time, just because that's not going to stay as well, which is fine. I should have had green zip ties, but I don't. So if you're joining me, say hello. Let me know where you're at. I'd like to know where people are from. I'm not sure. I'm crazy about where this is. Darn it. Okay, well, we'll try. And then we'll go put this one here. So it's just kind of in the third. And I'm going to line that one up again too with a center ring. Let me just zip tie that first and then add a little glue to it. Anybody got plans for the weekend? I'm just looking forward to cool weather. That's all I keep thinking about. Fall weather, right? Taking a break from summer. Hi Jolene, thanks for watching me. First time visiting. I hate to call anybody out, but I wanted to ask. Cindy, your maiden name is Flanagan. I'm just curious where you might be from. I'm related, family Flanagans, and I'd seen your name a few times, and I was just curious because you just never know. A lot of my family were from Minnesota. So, you live in Phoenix? It's cooling down? I don't know if it ever cools down in Phoenix. Does it? So, this one's a little trickier. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. See, now, these were fitting in so much better. I think it was probably because, I'm going to take that one out. I was actually attaching them to the inner ring. And I think the second one I did to the outer ring. And then it brings them out farther. And I kind of wanted them closer to the front. See, so when I attach it to the front ring, they're a little bit, can you see how this one's closer and that one's to the outside? And I kind of like it better. I like it better closer. So I'm going to just reattach that. So nice thing about being able to, with this, I just pulled it out. I hadn't secured it yet with glue. Duluth, Minnesota, you're way up north. Beautiful, I hear, though. My mom's family, it would be through my mother's family, and they were in Winona area. Some are in Minneapolis, but mostly the Winona area is where they're from. Okay. So I'm going to probably add a dab of glue, come back and kind of secure that. But as you can see, you get these in place, right? And might have to kind of turn to kind of get some of that natural look. So I'm going to put those in place first. And I'm just going to leave the zip ties on the back because I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Okay? And so now I've got pine cones that I had collected. I think I had maybe told you about that. A friend of mine brought me a bunch of pine cones. So I've got a lot of them that I baked. And so I'm actually going to place these in here. This is kind of really what it's going to be. But these, I'm telling you, these are pretty popular this year. So I'm going to stick with kind of some small and big because I've got all different sized ones. Bake them, and I can see I'm going to end up having to add. Let's get started with some of these. Because I've actually got some green, so I'm going to kind of go some grapevine that I'm going to kind of weed into these. So I'm going to start just getting some glue on the pine cones, adding them, just kind of nestled in, kind of give it a little bit of a shake and a hold. And you might want to work your way from like inner circle out, back and forth. So some of these actually got a long tip on them. Can you see? I'm going to just trim that off. So I actually get, so North Dakota, oh, okay, Jolene. Oh, all right. 80s is considered cool. I bet it is. I bet it is. I've been, I've been there. So I do know. I do know. So just kind of, so I'm going to just work my way around. It's not something that, you know, this is a wreath that has to be really full in the aspect of, you know, covered. We're looking at it natural, and so you want a lot of the pine needles showing. That's what kind of gives it that real, you know, the natural kind of look. And what I like about the real ones is they actually have a really nice scent. They still got a really fresh scent to them. And I didn't put anything on them. They smell really good as you bake them. So make sure when you're getting them in here that you're getting them attached to the pine needles. Give them a little shake so they stick. I haven't used like a whole pine wreath much before, just because it felt, and it always looked kind of skimpy to me. So I stayed away from it because I like a nice full base. So I can see on this one, I may end up having to add some more greenery. I like this kind of a light green, and that's nice that you can actually, oh, for Christmas, you know, you can add different, you know, shades of green. It doesn't have to be all dark green. No, Jolene, I bake them, and so that takes care of all this sap and bugs. Yes. Yep. Bake them for 200 degrees for anywhere from like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Just be careful you don't burn them, because they will burn. I did learn that from experience. I was thinking, well, geez, if I could, you know, if it's going to take, what I say, 2 hours at 200 degrees, why don't I just turn it up to like 300, right? Maybe it'll take less time. And I think I did the 300, and they got a toasty brown. So that, yeah, they got over baked. Oh well. Good thing I had a bunch of them. Can you see how this is looking? Let's kind of see. If you're just joining me, say hello. If you like this and like to see more of these kind of videos from me, I'd love it if you shared it with your friends or shared it to your page, so you could come back later and go, all right, now what did she do? Okay, so I've got those. Now I'm going to add berries. And what I've got is I had a couple different size berries, but they're like big and smaller ones. Now these I end up getting at Hobby Lobby, the small ones. The larger ones I got through a wholesaler. And I like the bigger berries because I'm not adding a whole lot in here. And so I think having the big berries, thank you, Jolene, are really going to just add some pop to this. And again, I'm going to kind of weave back and forth, you know, from inner to outer. But I'm going to break these apart just to distribute them kind of evenly. And then at the end, when I'm done here, what I'm going to do is bring back some of the grapevine. And I'll add the grapevine, but see, and then it just makes for, so I've got a nice big pick. I'm just pulling these apart. Well, let's see, maybe if I can get this one pulled apart. Okay, see, they can pull apart fairly easy, but if you find that some of them you're gonna have to trim off or even add some extra floral tape to clean up the ends, because you can see they can get a little nasty with the long wires, but you want them to be able to hold together too. don't know about anybody else, but this week just flew by. Oh my gosh. I keep thinking, where is the time going? You know, it's already first of fall, near the end of September, and I'm thinking, oh man. Kind of getting those just nestled in those needles. And this actually breaks up into quite a few pieces. I want to say there were 7 pieces out of one stem, which I got at Sims Pottery. So one stem goes a really long ways. Now with the cooler nights, I almost wish that, well, my sister has a fire pit, portable one. But you know, it's like you get to sit outside where it's cooler, and you, of course, then you have your fire going. But oh, that's so much fun. I just saw here too when I was shopping, they actually had, I was picking up some wine. They actually have a pumpkin liqueur. Can you imagine? You put it in the refrigerator, and if you like cocktails. And oh, it looked, I didn't buy it. I was looking at it and go, wow, that looks really good. And it just, you know, fit appropriate for, you know, the season. So I'm just adding around first, and then I can come back. You know, you can come back and add berries where you want to add more, or where it just looks like it needs something. But again, this is not something, this isn't a base, you know, this isn't a wreath you're gonna just fill up. You know, you could add a nest in here, I suppose. You could add, I don't remember exactly where I had them. Somewhere out of the way. You could probably put an empty bird's nest in here. You could probably add, I've got some birch circles. You know, you could just kind of add something. This, I don't think I would glue this. I think I would actually drill a hole in it. I could do that and attach a couple birch circles to it. You know, something like that if you wanted to add more to it. But just don't fill it. Hi, Lavana. How are you? Thanks for joining me. But yeah, just, you know, just know that less is more for this natural looking wreath. And like I said, these bigger berries that I'm putting in make them a greater statement. You missed the fall up north. Well, you know what? Yeah. Hi, Lavana. Jolene, you know, and I do too. Unfortunately here with, I didn't realize, I've moved away, been gone for so long, and I love the color changes. And I didn't realize how much the rain and heat have on the effect of how well the trees turn color. And so trees are already starting to turn color here, but they're muddy looking. The color is it's mud, kind of a muddy red, and it's kind of disappointing. I remember that last year that some of them were changing so quickly, but the colors were nowhere near as stunning as I remember when I was a kid here. So that was kind of a bummer. And that's kind of happening the same now, is because we had so much rain that the trees are looking kind of a blasé red and kind of the orange. So I don't know. Now I'm going to look around to see, do I want to add, I'm going to cut off those zip ties. So you see how the bigger berries just really make a different statement to it, and I can certainly add more to them. I'm just trying to cut off the zip ties. Hi, Marie. The deer horns, the antlers, I added a little glue to the top, made sure I kind of wiggled it in between the pine, and then zip ties. Yeah, they're heavy, so a zip tie has to be used to. Yes, I saw all my wreaths. I don't know a price exactly yet until I'm done, kind of, and I'm not quite sure. Sometimes when I'm done with it, I look at it and I might add more to it. So it's really hard for me to give you a price right offhand, but I'm figuring it's probably going to be towards the $90, between probably 90, I don't know, something, I don't know, give or take, I don't know. You can message me later and I can give that information to you. So I think I'm going to add just a couple more. I'm going to add some more pine cones. I've got so many pine cones out in the garage that I'm going to have to bake some more. It's time consuming. You know, they got to sit in the oven, and you can't, it's not like you can put a whole bunch on a pan. You got to layer them. So it's one layer of pine cones, and then let it bake. So I can do 2 pans in this oven. I thought I'd seen a spot that I wanted another one in. Ah. I'm going to add some more berries, a few more, because I still have some grapevine I want to add into this. That would be great, Lavanda. That's fine. It's probably more of an 18-inch. I do believe that's kind of what I was looking at it too, because it looks, no, actually from tip to tip, it's probably about 24 inches. Now that I'm looking at it from the front part, so it's about 24 inches. Glue is kind of thickening up. So again, just, you know, less is more, and I think once I start adding some of the grapevine to it, you're going to notice a difference too. You know, that just kind of adds something extra to it. Okay. Now I'm going to take, I've got grapevine. in which I just basically kind of tore a small 14-inch wreath base apart. And you can use honeysuckle as long, if it's not too thick. Let's see. And this I'm going to add a little bit of glue to it, but I may just really, I don't know if I want it all like that, but that's kind of cool. Normally I would just be adding some sprigs, but I kind of like how this, it almost looks like it's kind of just nestled in around. And I'll glue that, but I think I actually like this, how that just kind of naturally. And then I can just move some of the pine needles around it so it looks like it's just been looks like somehow from a tree, right? A pine tree, that branches just kind of grew in around it, and I like that. I like that very much. Actually, I'm going to attach that. Let's see, where is it? My hair's getting in my way. Okay, so I've got the vine in here, and I'm going to attach it with a zip tie. Most of it should be okay. Weaved in and out of the pines. But I'll go back and look at it and make sure it's secured. Normally, if I weave this through a grapevine, okay, Lavana, I do glue them, and I do use a tie. But isn't that pretty? I like it. So if you like natural looking wreaths like this, hopefully you can see. Let's see if I can pull it up for you, and so you can kind of see if you can see it. I may have to push this up. You didn't need to be looking at me when I'm doing this. What you think? Can you see it okay? Oops. I guess I don't need this zip tie here. Real simple, real simple. All right, everybody. I appreciate you joining me here at Trestle Glen Treasures, watching me make a Christmas wreath. And if you enjoy this, I'd love it if you shared it. Make it a little more floppy. I'll do what I can, Lavana, sorry. A little more sloppy. I'll try to do that. I might even add a little more into it just to see how that looks. Thank you, Sandra. Yep, thank you. So, all right, everybody, have a fantastic Friday. Again, thanks for joining me, and enjoy your weekend, and I will see you again soon. Bye. I can turn it off.